Welcome to the Black Business Podcast, where we help Black entrepreneurs, Black business owners, and Black consumers connect their Black dollars. Now, here's your host, Jonni Jones.
Hello, it's great to be with you again today. I'm your host, Jonni Jones, for the Black Business Podcast. And joining me today is Miss Jonni Redick of Stockton, California. She's with JL Consulting Solutions. Today's show is brought to you by the $5marketinggarage.com, where all of your online digital marketing needs are met inside the garage. I'm super excited. This person here is the busiest person that I know. I know a lot of people. I'm busy, but she's super busy, and I'm glad she found time to be my guest here today as she joins us here on the Black Business Podcast, where we connect entrepreneurs, small businesses, and consumers with their Black dollars. Listen, without further ado, Miss Jonni Redick of JL Consulting Solutions. Welcome to the show, my sister. How you doing today?
Good morning, Jonni. Thank you for having me. And I don't know if I'm as busy or busier than you, but life is pretty busy. And so that's a good thing. But I'm glad to be here with you this morning.
Great. So we're glad to have you here now. And as I do with most of my guests, I always get on the elevator and take them to the top floor. I says, listen, we're going to the 47th floor. Listen, can you tell me what you do? Let us know what you do.
So we're going to the 47th floor. Is this like a straight shot, a bullet shot, or we got a slow ride?
There may be people getting on, right? So this is if it was a straight shot, what do you got? What's your 2-minute elevator pitch?
My 2-minute or less elevators pitch or speech really is just about building leadership and changing leadership paradigms. And, right now with the national narrative and all kinds of things going on with the pandemic and protests, and there's leaders in those positions, right, that are supposed to be the guideposts. Well, in every organization, people are cultivated as they come in and grow through the organization. So what I try to do is just really work individually and collectively with organizations to build their people, build better people. And that's done through systems and processes, and also activities and things where we can learn about ourselves and be vulnerable. So that's really what I do. And that's kind of what my mission has been since I retired after 29 years of law enforcement.
Okay, great. So yeah, that's a lot, man. There's a lot of different areas we can go on that today. What I wanted to do is keep on focus was just developing leaders like throughout our organization. As far as some of us are small businesses, I know some entrepreneurs are like solopreneurs are like, well, I am the leader and hiring my first employee and things of that nature. So give us a little bit about your background, because you say you have, I think, 25, 30 plus years of just pure straight leadership. Give us a little bit of insight into your, not getting in too detail, but just kind of give us an overview of why we should be listening to you when it comes to leadership.
So, well, thank you, Jonni. And I won't be too overly detailed because it was a long career. But to take a step back from before I joined law enforcement, I was thinking about my trajectory in life as I was coming from a broken home, raised by a single mother, living on subsidized income, or often living sometimes with other people, or even at the Salvation Army, how I was able to make my way through high school, not go to college right away, but I got a job, and I was a typist clerk. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I saw an ad that promised me benefits and security and this long career. And I had no concept of that because of the way I was raised. And I went for it. And it was a predominantly male organization, not having any clue in law enforcement or family history, and especially coming from communities where I was often different than those that I lived around, because for me, I'm not as dark as everybody else, so I'm a blender. I've been called a chameleon. No, I'm telling you, this is the thing that sometimes isn't said out loud. Although I may be fair, the bottom line is I'm still a Black female. So how I was treated was just so sporadic and different, right? So that shapes who you are. So I went for this law enforcement career, not knowing what to expect, getting in, being discriminated against, being harassed for being a woman because women hadn't been on very long. And I wanted to have upward mobility. I wanted to have a career path, but there was no mentors, there was no coaches, there was no system, there wasn't really anything in place. So I had to navigate this space to figure out how to get where I wanted to go. And over time, what I learned through my 29-year career after I reached a very high rank is you have to have this accountability piece for yourself. But it's important for you to have a structure and some mentoring and some coaching. So let's fast forward that to the end of my 29-year career. When I looked at that when I retired, I'm pretty proud of myself. Okay. And that's not like ego, but we need to take a look and inventory our own list of achievements and things that we've done. So out of an organization of 12,000 with 7,500 sworn in the state of California, it was a state agency.
Right.
I was in the top 35. And as a female, there was only a few of us in that top 35. And so what I'm doing is cultivating all of that experience from my life, my work. I also teach adjunct for the University of San Diego in a master's or graduate program for public safety and law enforcement leadership, where it's basically leadership acumen that we're building, right?
Mm-hmm.
And taking all of that and now put it into my own business where I can help people to navigate their own path. And that can look from a solo business person trying to establish their own leadership in the community. How do they build their partnerships? To businesses who have some employees and maybe they need to build up their ability to deal with conflict resolution or problem solve or communication. And the very big one that many people are having trouble with is this space of emotional intelligence, which when we break it down is really simply behavioral things having to do with how we self-reflect and see ourselves with self-awareness, and then how we engage with people. And so I have cultivated, practices and approaches to help with one-on-ones, to help with small groups, to help with large organizations. And I do that effectively, I would say. I have a good success rate. So, I help people prepare for promotion, get promotionally ready for exams. And so I do all of that collectively within my business.
Wow, man, listen, I was checking your website out. I've grown to know you over the years, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm at a whole nother level of respect for you right now, because I did not know, first of all, I didn't know your background like that. And one thing I can appreciate about you is you're always vulnerable and trying to share who you are as a person. You don't come across as you're on this pedestal, because you grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, if you will, and you've kind of made your way and pulled yourself up through the bootstraps. But what I'm more impressed about, and what I think you can help some people out with, is you're saying when you came up through the ranks, you're like, there was no manual, there was no book on how to promote or even deal with females. There weren't any group. Wait a minute, we have a woman that wants to be a senior level director, a senior level chief. That does not happen. So we don't have a blueprint for that. And so what you're saying is, hey, now that I was able to navigate it and get to that level, I can now show others how to navigate and get to that level. And it's not like, hey, this is what the book says. Oh no, I've lived this, and this is what I've done, and I can help you as well. Is that kind of the basis of your business? You kind of can navigate and help people. Now, is it just females, or first of all, is that the basis of your business?
No. So over my career, I have put together study groups and worked with everybody. So like in state government, we talk about equal employment. I am an equal employment operator. I just work from a lens of being a Black female, right? Mm-hmm. So when I operate, my connectivity is everybody. So really what you provide somebody, if it's quality, it transcends gender. It transcends race, right?
Right.
So, but do I resonate more with women? Absolutely. I mean, I have done so many speaking engagements over my career where I've spoke to hundreds of women, And after my speaking engagement, they're lined up because they want a little bit more, because they can resonate with my story as a woman in
Right.
business, as a leader, not just in law enforcement, because my speaking engagements were very diverse, but I work with everyone because there are fundamental things that everybody needs to understand when you're trying to nuance your organizational culture to be able to leverage yourself for upward mobility. And it does not start the moment that an exam is advertised that you go, oh, I want to promote and I want to be a leader in an organization.
Right.
No, we talk about things on how to build yourself a plan. So a lot of people don't understand that if you build a career development plan, that you outline things you want to achieve and strategies to get there, they can happen. Just like people talk about having a vision board, right? And putting up that thing, the goals that you want to achieve. It's the same thing with your career, but you need to be strategic and you need to be about action. And there's things that you need to do because other people are going to be doing it in your organization. Other people are going to be seeking that training or whatever it may be. And so for business leaders, this whole space of building even your confidence on how to be able to go out and engage to build your business is something that people need to consider. I mean, I don't know. If you read Entrepreneur Magazine, the majority of CEOs of Fortune 500 companies have a coach because they want to achieve great success.
Wow.
So those are things that I do. I consult, I coach, I, train. It's a multitude of things.
Wow. So it's interesting, right? And I normally bring on guests who help entrepreneurs. I bring on guests who help other small business owners. And I bring on guests who help consumers as well and help them spend their consumer dollars. And I always try to have a little something for everybody. And I remember I brought on a young lady, I think it was Attractive Resumes. I think that was episode 5 or 6. I can't remember right now, but she spoke about a lot of the things you spoke about being prepared, right? So a lot of people just roll out of bed and like, I think I'm gonna apply for this job today. You're like, really? You think you're just gonna apply for that job? And a lot of this is proactiveness, right? It's being, and I teach this to my kids all the time. It's better to be proactive, right? Anytime you got to be reactive, there's always a cost to that. It costs you more to be reactive, right? And she was talking about being proactive in your job search. And what you're saying is, hey, in career development, there are some people that may be listening to this podcast who says, hey, listen, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to be in business. I kind of just like what I'm doing, but I want to move up to increase my household salary, my annual salary. And you're saying, hey, I can connect with those people and coach them and get them to the next level. Is that fair? Is that?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
It's not just understanding, and this is not to diminish anything because everything is important and relevant, but there are practical things that we know that have to take place in order for you to take a promotional exam or to professionally develop yourself. But there's also this space that people underestimate that's really important, and that is their resiliency to be a leader, to promote. This is a space where you have to be able to be in touch with your emotions, understand how to connect with people. So when we talk about communication, interpersonal skills, and things of that nature, if you look at studies, the majority of people in leadership positions fail in this space because they do not have emotional intelligence. They don't understand that these are skills that you can learn. You have personality and IQ that has already been established from youth, but your emotional intelligence quotient can be learned, can be changed, can be grown, and that makes you more successful. But people dismiss that because they feel like they're highly competent. I'm very smart. I'm good at what I do. I should be able to move forward and lead. Leading takes part of that, but it also takes the space for you to be able to connect with human beings, with people that you are going to be leading. And that is another space, along with all the other intangibles of resume building, how to build before you even have a resume, how to create your trajectory, and how to be successful in exams and in promotion. But building this space in people that make them better leaders. And that's what organizations and that's what companies and small businesses and even individual leaders need to be able to understand in order to have the success they're looking for.
Wow. So I remember when I was first introduced, I want to say it was maybe 4 years ago when I was introduced to this term, emotional intelligence, right? And, I said, well, I had an opportunity to take a course, by the way, was one of the most fascinating courses I had ever taken was on emotional intelligence. And because, if I believe that every day I'm learning, burning, and yearning, right? I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to learn more. There's not a day that goes by that I do not try to learn something new. So when I get to this, I got this course in emotional intelligence, and they start taking you through these exercises. They're like, person says this, says that, says this, says that, right? And in a space where you have social media, in a space where you have email, right? And even as a business owner, people are coming at you. I'd like say people are coming at you, quote unquote, sideways, right? So I think this emotional intelligence thing is very key because they'll ask us like, okay, I just got this email or somebody just said this about me on social media and I'm a business owner. So let me exercise some emotional intelligence about if I say this is the response I'll get. If I say that, this is the response I get. Or if I say, and just slowing down and thinking about that, that's the emotional intelligence part about it. And I'm gonna tell you now, as a leader and, running my business and in the community and in my church and stuff like that, that is something that is the most powerful class that I had an opportunity to go through. And so are you certified in that area, or is that just that you introduce people to that? Or let's talk a little bit more about emotional intelligence, but using that on the business owner side, because I think it's key, right? Because us, if somebody say something about us, right? We run in a business and our business is trying to grow, right? And then we see it on social media. It's like, yeah, I went to such, and she ain't even had this. You're like, okay. So tell me how a business owner would benefit for something like that, even going through your program and says, hey, let me start working you through coaching. How do you respond to some of this? Tell me what a business owner, how emotional intelligence will help a business owner in that sense.
So part of the emotional intelligence experience that you go through is what you just said, Jenny. It has to do with your self-awareness, how you manage those emotions, but then also your social awareness, which is now outward, which is dealing with other people, kind of understanding those emotions and being able to develop a way to have relationships, right, with them. So it's called relationship management. And I just wanted to go back to your social media piece. So part of my consulting is full compassing, right? So I've had this long career where in the career, I have public relations background. I have experience to grant management. I have experience to media management. And so I provide that to my clients on things to think about on how you even manage your brand and who you are and how you message yourself and how you navigate messaging to the media or social media. So part of this emotional intelligence builds in this capacity for you to have kind of a full spectrum of tools and resources to pull from. So if you have a bad social media response that somebody gives you, inside, maybe we have an attitude about it and we're like, no, they didn't.
We gonna have an attitude about it.
But outwardly, we
Right.
figure out a way how to flip that to be something that is reflective on the quality service that we provide.
So
and
give me an example.
Who our reputation is.
Let's park right there. So somebody came online. I'm gonna give you the setup because I think this is very important because somebody may need you right now, right? They're probably in a business and their business is probably growing like gangbusters. So managing this social hour problem, somebody gets online and says, hey, they had a bad customer experience with my company, right? And so I'm coming to you right now and says, hey, listen, I seen this person on there, and that wasn't true. This is what happened. And this was this way. So you managing your media, you having your social experience and help managing a brand, what would you tell me and how do I respond to that? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think it's very good right here. If you could help me out.
No. So there's a few things that you want to think about. So we want to think about this outward post that's going to reflect negatively on your organization, right? But there's some other things in there that I think are important before I tap into that, and it'll be really brief. But you want to think about, well, why was that such a negative experience for that client? And if it's the kind of business where you have contact with clients, I tell people, do the things that are difficult, right? We want to cut them off and move on. But why don't we reach out and find out what it was that maybe we could have done better, or what created them to want to post something that maybe wasn't accurate about your business, right? Because that's part of relationship management and emotional intelligence. But we're dealing with people sometimes that are difficult to deal with, and we don't like to deal with conflict, because if we do, we can't manage our emotions. We can't be productive in that process. So that's one thing I would say. Now, the outward facing that a lot of times we're having trouble with, even in our larger media with government and all of the things, is being humble enough to say, you know what, we apologize for any experience that didn't meet a customer's need. And then you reinforce what you do and what your guarantee is, or whatever that is. You don't have to say, well, they're lying, that's not how we do business. You just simply shape that in a way that says it's unfortunate that this customer had a very bad experience that they felt. I want to reassure everybody that this is what we do. And we are, whatever that happens to be, right? Because this is kind of a broad kind of a question you ask, but it's being humble enough to acknowledge there's a space, that there's room for improvement or reconnection with whoever that was, and then reestablish your reputation, your brand, through how you write that out. And it can be short and it can be simple, but we can't be like the representation that we're having currently, where we bully people, where we call them out, where we're not civil in our response. Because if my mission and values of my organization state that I am a certain way, that I'm professional and I have integrity, then I need to always conduct myself like that as a business. And if we let our emotions take over, we erode all of that, and then we get down into the mud with everybody, and we don't need to. There's steps we can do.
So you're spot on. Man, you are spot on. And so let me ask you this. So we deal with these, I mean, social media is a big thing, right? A lot of people are trying to grow their business via social media, right? And so I think, so do you have a plan for a entrepreneur or a business? We already know you can work with people on career development, career growth. It doesn't matter race, creed, or color. You can help them. You've seen a lot. You've experienced a lot. So that part we got, right? And you're in that every day. You even teach that at the graduate school level. But for an entrepreneur to say, hey, listen, I want my team to have a package, if you will, or I want you to come in and coach my team. They maybe handle the phones, right? They maybe handle customer service or something like that. Do you have a package or even a cheat sheet, or, hey, this is a course that I can do via Zoom to all of your staff, and say, hey, these are some of the things that you need to work through when a customer is cussing you out, or they're exchanging text messages? Do you have a small package or something like that you do? If not, did you just come up with one when I said it?
No. So there's a few things. So Jenny, what I think is really important about the type of service that I provide is that it's customized. So what I do is I spend time with the clients and find out what their challenges are and the kind of outcomes that they're looking for. And then I will customize how I will approach them individually or their staff. And then we go from there, because I can't cookie cutter a lesson plan and go deliver that. I mean, I can, but that's not fair to who I'm working with. So I really try to customize from a library of things that I have. And after speaking with them, then I will build the approach. I will build how we're going to work with their staff and employees. But I don't just, so I'm kind of multifaceted. That's why it's consulting and not in something necessarily specific.
Right.
But I also help organizations with risk management, being able to assess their potential civil liabilities, just helping them set up systems and processes and things for policy procedures for all kinds of things, right? Because when you're building a business, there's so much to think about. And sometimes having somebody that can consult you or advise you on things that you want to consider, I don't create them for you, but what I can do is help you to identify them, and then you know where you need to go and things you need to consider, because your vulnerabilities are not just your people and your employee. They can be your processes. They can be, systems. Maybe the building that you have, is there security issues? Do you need site assessments? Do you need to think about, thinking about the things that maybe you're not thinking about? And so I help people with a multitude of things. That's
Wow.
why I have to know what their challenges are. I have to know what it is that they're seeking. And if I don't have the answer, that's the beauty of my network. So I have a network of individuals that I collaborate with who are also in business, and we work together. And some of them will just, we'll mastermind together, or they'll share information, and I get to share that with my clients, or I get to also connect you into my network.
Wow. So this is a lot, man. I'm getting it. You're impressing me right now, right? So I've known you on a surface, right? Known you in some personal level, but this is another level that I'm seeing from you. And it's funny because I think when we roll out of bed and says, "Oh, I think I'll start a business today," right? We don't know how much processes and different things that have to come along with that, right? Um, just over my last 10 years, I've started to realize how important processes are in an organization, right? After a couple of audits, right? I'm in a profession that I'm audited all the time. And after a couple of audits and after a couple of different things, I realized, man, processes are very important. You go through a couple of litigation cases, you get called into court a lot. The first thing they're going to ask is, so what's your processes on that? Right? They're going to say, what are your procedures on that? Right? And you're like, well, we don't have procedures on that. They're like, what? So that's not going to go well. And so I think what you're saying is, hey, listen, I was interviewing someone the other day, and they just said that they didn't realize, they just thought that they could just open up, get their business license, and they can just hang their shingles. And what they said, what they didn't realize was there's so many things that come with that. Oh, by the way, when you hire employees, there's a whole nother level of processes. This needs to be posted here. The employees need to know their rights and all that. So you're saying, hey, if a business is trying to figure it out, they can call you. Is it JL? What is it? It's JL Consulting Solutions, right?
Yes.
They can call you, and you can help them kind of put those things together. And there are people out there that says, man, I'm trying to get to the next level. I don't have time to put these procedures together, but I do have time to meet with somebody that can kind of give me a shell, and I can kind of put. Is that something that you do as well?
Yes. So I came from state government where everything is a policy, everything is a guideline, right? So there's an infrastructure that needs to take place in any kind of business.
Right.
And you hit another key point, employees, but also not only employee development and enrichment, but employee misconduct, and how to be able to ensure that you have structures and policies in place, but you also have personnel who know how to handle counseling, who know how to handle progressive discipline. I was an investigator for my organization for 15 years on, internal investigations on employee misconduct. So, and I also sat on, Skelly hearings, and I'm SBB chair for certain things. So I have this background and experience to just be able to advise and share with business owners things that they want to think about, outside of like you said, the building and the shingles and hanging your name on the door, right?
A
Especially
lot of
if you're
people
going to
think that's
get
just all it. A lot of people think that's just all it is.
Yes.
And there's so much more now. So I had a guest on. I want to say maybe episode 7 or something. Like, listen, people, you got to get into these episodes because there's a lot. If you just listen to it, you'll find one thing of every episode that you can learn something from. And there was some HR consultants on here, right? And they talked about just trying to reduce your risk of liability and being sued and all. And a lot of things is when you start hiring employees, you start bringing on employees, the employees got rights. So don't get that twisted, right? But if you got your policies and procedures together, right, then you stand a good chance of being successful in that area. And you're saying you're that person that can come along and help us if we need that. Is that what I'm getting?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. I got to link you up with that HR company, man. I'm sure they run into that and that they need some people that can probably come in and consult on that level. So I need to introduce you to that network. So I didn't want to cut you off. That's something I got to do.
No. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's just like this broad spectrum because of my background and experience. And I've had training in most of it. I've been certified in most of it through my, past work experience. I'm, continual. I love the thing you said about being a continual learner. I'm constantly researching and studying, which is kind of required by my adjunct position because we talk on very contemporary national issues that everyone is facing, but mostly public safety and law enforcement leadership in that particular program. But it is applicable when we start talking about, ethical leadership, or we're talking about budgetary issues and how to develop your budgets and all of these kind of things. These are the things that I instruct on. So I bring them with me into my consulting when a client is talking about things. I can draw upon that. So yeah,
Wow.
I offer a lot. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, as we kind of go into the last phase of this podcast, I am so excited that you're even going to be joining us on the expo December 4th and 5th coming up. And I would encourage people to get your promotional code. Your promotional code what is your promotional code? Do you know it?
It's simple. It's JLCS, which is the acronym for my business.
So JLCS is her promotional code. She's going to be there. I'm super excited to have her there. And I'm so impressed that I'm going to make a major announcement at the expo. So I would encourage you to come buy a ticket. I think if you use her promotional code, there's a little something in there special for you if you were able to use that. But I'm on something. I'm going to introduce and announce something that for our community is next level. And I was presented with the opportunity, and it was let's just say it was a hefty investment, right? And it was one of those investments where I had to go back to my spouse, right? Because she's my business partner, right? And I said, listen, this is an investment that will take our community to the next level. And she was like, do you want to really make this kind of investment I said, I want to invest in our people. So the announcement I'm going to make is so major. You're going to want to be there. But not only that, I think there's more of an opportunity for you there. And so I'm not going to get into the details. I'll probably
don't get into the details.
Later.
Keep us in suspense.
No, so, because
but what I'd like to offer though, Jenny, is the first 10 people that do sign up for your expo that's coming up. I have a publication that I provide, and it's law enforcement specific, but and that's because I market to them. But what's in there is really tangible for everybody, because it gives you simple steps about understanding a job bulletin, how to develop a resume. It talks about things when you get into interviews for questioning. It talks about how to assess your readiness for promotion. And it's just a guide for you to build a structure and an outline. So I'd like to offer that to the first 10 people.
Oh, that use your promotional code?
They use the promotional code. I will give them a free guide.
JLCS. Hey, you guys heard that? Listen, I love it when our community is giving back, reaching back. You know, we get to these levels and we reach back, and I know what level you are at, and you reaching back. I applaud you in that area, and I'm very proud of you. I've seen your transition into this business world, becoming this business leader and becoming this business woman. You are starting to become a pillar, and she is to be recognized. So all you young ladies out there, your black what do you guys call it? Black woman power, what is it? What's the boss lady? I don't know. Y'all got all these terms y'all throwing around, but we know y'all ready to go to the next level. I think this sister right here can help you guys get there. It can help you get to that level of excellence that our community is looking for, right? So
and
our
that's
community,
important. And that's important, Jenny.
what is that? Go ahead. You can
The community. So you're talking about contributing and giving back to the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
And right now, everything is talking about, vote, right? We need to vote. And so we're not just voting on a national level, we're voting on local levels. But part of this conversation that's even broadened is how do we get involved in the local level, right?
Right.
And so one other thing I just want to share that I do, that I just really encourage people to do at whatever capacity they can, is I sit on nonprofit boards. Mm-hmm. And the nonprofit boards that I sit on are generally, for the one that I sit on, works with children and families who are from lower incomes. And so it provides a service for childcare that are pre-K, but also it is a place where they're academically preparing our children to move forward in the educational system to be successful. And so having a position on a board helps to make decisions, helps to provide service and program to the community. So find ways to get involved, especially in your leadership development or as a business partner or any of those things for businesses that are getting off the ground. Get connected, and don't just connect it to the easy stuff where somebody can refer you or recommend you. Get out and be seen. I know COVID makes it very difficult for that, but there's different ways for you to be able to contribute, be connected, and create your community engagement and partnerships. It's essential for you, for your branding and how successful you're going to be, not only locally, but I would imagine most people want to go big or go home.
I know that's right. And that's funny that you bring that up. And it's not funny that you bring it up, but when I talk to you, when I interview guests, it always makes me reflect on what shaped me as a business owner or a business leader. And it was a small blimp. It was maybe I did it for 3.5 years, but I served on the board of the YMCA, right? And I learned so much from that experience that it shaped me. And I forget about it because it was so long ago, but it had a turning point in my life and in my trajectory as a business professional, because it introduced me to other professionals, right? And you serve on these boards, but you meet other people that are in other levels too, that can maybe open doors for you that you probably couldn't even open for yourself. Man, that's a whole nother podcast. We're going to have to come back and do that one. But I remember that, and it opened up 2 other doors for me that I would have never saw. And so, man, I like to thank you for coming today and sharing with us. And I can't wait to hear what you got to say at the expo. And you're going to wait to hear what I got to share and where you're going to fit into bigger plans of some things we're going to do here. We're going to go to the next level. So listen, you guys need to support this sister. She's out there. Recommend her. You may work at an organization, right? You may not even be an entrepreneur. You may work at an organization that says, listen, y'all need some training, right? Because you know how you work in those organizations where they got these leaders that they just became leaders because they've been there 15 years, right? This person's been here the longest. Why are they in charge? Well, because they've been here the longest. You're like, that doesn't mean that they're the best leader, but y'all need some leadership training. I heard this sister on the podcast. She's with JLCS Solutions, JLC Consulting Solutions, JL Consulting Solutions. That's a lot, but we're going to get it together. That's why I like just using the JLCS. So they may want to reach out to you and they may want to refer their organization to you. because you bringing in some skills. You're saying, listen, you said a lot this morning. You said emotional intelligence, right? You were saying things about leadership development, right? You were saying some things about navigating obstacles when it comes to putting your own professional development plan together. You said a mouthful today, and I appreciate you coming out. Is there any parting words that you want to leave with these, your guests? Those words could be for an entrepreneur, they could be for a small business owner, or they could be for just an everyday consumer trying to become better and spending their Black dollars.
So the last things that I'll part with are this. In order for you to, especially now, there's so much weight in the world. And so I want to kind of inspire you to think about some really simple things that can set you up for success. And you could be all of those things you just mentioned, Jenny. But having something that you do every day as a practice is really important for you to begin your trajectory towards any kind of development, any kind of success. So maybe let's pick 3 things that you decide that you're going to commit to do every day, and they're simple. So maybe the first thing is when you get up in the morning that you are going to be grateful for something. Gratitude is huge on how we change our outlook for the day. And so taking a moment to be grateful in whatever capacity that is for you. The second thing is taking time to simply find time alone to whether you're going to meditate, perhaps you're faith-based and have a devotional, but just really framing yourself for what you're going to do for the day and getting your mindset right after that gratefulness. And then another thing that I like to do every morning is I like to journal. And journal for me isn't always about my faith, which I am faith-based, but journaling is about how I'm going to maybe approach my day today. What are the 3 things I want to get done? Maybe they were on my reminder list, but every day I like to have those things to give me focus and structure and positive reinforcement for what I want to achieve, because it starts with me. I have to take my own personal accountability for my attitude and my gratitude before I can be successful for anybody else. And so that's what I would leave with you and your viewers.
Wow. I don't want to leave now because you helped me with some things that those are, we get so busy in our hustle and bustle. I do get up. I don't journal, right? But I do some of those things that you said. And I like that you put that little structure to it. And so I think you've challenged me on this show today. I think you've challenged our viewers and our listeners on this show today. If you're trying to get a level of excellence, you got to be prepared and prepare your mind for a level of excellence. And one of the reasons why I created this platform was because people were making excuses not to spend their Black dollars with us. They don't have their stuff together. Right? I go to their show. They're supposed to be open at 9, but they don't get there till 11. Right? They don't say, how we do our cousins. And so what I wanted to do was say, hey, these are people out here that are doing it and they're doing it right. And I want us to all have a level of excellence that way it does not matter. I don't care who's coming in and ringing my cash register. I don't care what color they are. I want everybody to ring my cash register. And that's the level of excellence we need to have to be able to make that happen. So you shared a lot of good things today. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today on the Black Business Podcast, where we connect entrepreneurs, small businesses, and consumers to their Black dollars. Listen, subscribe, find us on Facebook, The Black Business Podcast, or you can search for us on YouTube, right? The Black Business Podcast. Our link for our expo is Black Business Online Expo. See, I got to keep up with all this stuff. But if you're connected to our Facebook page, you're going to find out a lot of that information as well. Support our guests, right? Shop Black Business Podcast. You're going to be able to find all our guests there that you'll be able to connect with them. And just support us, support our channel, support our platform. I'm telling you right now, 2021, we're going to be doing next level, right? We're going to be going next level. So again, thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you, Sister Jonni. We appreciate that. We appreciate from JL Consulting Solutions, right?
Yep, JLconsultingsolutions.com if you want to find me.
And where else can we find you? I'm sorry, I didn't give you your shout outs on your
It's the same thing, JL Consulting Solutions on Instagram. And I don't do Facebook other than family because it's business. So you can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Jonni Redick. And then, of course, like I said, jlconsultingsolutions.com is where all my information is. You can learn the kind of services and how to connect with me.
Great. Thank you. This has been a wonderful show. I learned a lot. Thank you so much. Until next time, God bless you guys. Take care.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Black Business Podcast, where we help Black entrepreneurs, Black business owners, and Black consumers connect their Black dollars. Hosted by Jenny Jones. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. If you want to learn more about all our podcast guests and spend your Black dollars with them, visit our online store at shopblackbusinesspodcast.com.